Good morning, Mike. How you doing? Happy Wednesday, May
Hey,
6th.
yeah, Wednesday, my favorite day,
Of course it is. Why is it your
supposedly.
favorite day, Mike?
I'm a little tired today. I'm not sure how favorite it's going to
Oh,
be.
wow.
Um, it's Workplace Innovator Interactive Day, noon Eastern
Nice.
time, hour-long live stream. Should be good. Should be good. I do have that
Y-
digital fatigue though. There's a lot of Zoom meetings going on this week, a lot of webinars for me this week. The launch of our new Space Right product feature in the iOffice software has caught a lot of attention, and I'm in a lot of meetings about that and a lot of webinars with our customers. So it's pretty cool though. It's just a little one piece of the very big puzzle that workplace leaders need to help plan their return to work and their return to the office. So it's getting uh, interesting feedback so far. Very, very highly received.
Good, good. I hope everything you said there was brilliant because my headphones just went off and I didn't hear a word of it.
I
So
hope I hope anybody heard it because my microphone was pointed that way. So we'll see what happens.
there we go. There we go. So I
It's
guess
a
your
great, perfect start to the
your
OSW
premoni-
Daily Live. Here we go.
your premonition of how tired you are and everything sort of it just kind of comes into
Yeah, just go ahead
fruition,
and
I
tell me
guess.
when we're on the air. We'll get started.
Okay, fair enough, mate.
Tell
Fair
me when you
enough.
click
Okay.
record
I
or
will. I
broadcast.
will. I will. But the good news is May 6th. One, unfortunately, it's not a Star Wars related day. I
Uh,
thought those were never going to end. But
no.
today is not no diet day. No diet day, Mike.
Hey,
Those are days that we like.
I can
During
embrace that.
during this lockdown, I think everybody feels that every day's a no diet day. But there you go. It's official today. We can go without our diet.
That's a good one. All right.
So
I will
yeah.
celebrate that today. How are you doing? You were
No,
busy this morning. I came on and you're the late one to the party today. Busy
I
meetings already.
was busy meetings already. Yeah, no, it was good. It was a team catch up from everyone all over the world, so it was nice just to see people from all over the world, part of the team, just where they are, how they're doing, how they're going. It's really nice to be a part of it. Yeah, it's good to see people, and that's I know you've got fatigue, but I guess that's the other side of it. That's the upside of it. When we think about social interactions and social connections at this time, that's one benefit that actually are getting. There are people on that call that I would never have seen or had never seen on camera prior to this to COVID-19. So it's a real that's one of the nice upsides of of Zoom. And as we go into one of the things the benefits of as you know when you do your podcast and you look at the data, or I look at open source workplace and I look at the data, one of the things we can get to see is what's people's appetite, what are they interested in, what are they looking at.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
just before this morning, one of the things I was doing was looking at some of the data on open source workplace. It's like, so what are people actually searching for, what are reading? Because open source workplace, we get about 30,000 page views a month, and most of it comes from search, and most of it comes like 68% of traffic actually comes from people's desktops. So this is when they're sitting, they're working, and they're actually searching for things. So it's really you can easily get into the mindset of what actually viewers are coming to look at. And this morning I looked, and the big thing is social media and the impact social media is actually having on the workplace. So, how does it affect the employee? How does it affect the employer? And what are the adverse effects of it? And I shot you over that article of sort of just to sort of get your perspective. And it's not necessarily I want to go through the article, but it's more of I don't know what your experience has been social media during this pandemic, or has it changed, has it altered, is there effects that you've seen or you witnessed within your organization? Curious to know your thoughts.
Yeah. I wonder why that article was so popular. I'm curious to know because it was something that I don't think much about anymore. Social media is just kind of part of my life throughout the day. And it's probably because in my world, I'm using social media to reach my audience. And as you are, share content and it's business related. I guess the assumption is, of the article was it supposed to be more about personal use of social media. I scanned through. It was a long article and in depth, great research there from your author. But I assume that there was more of a concern from employers, and this was written last year before the pandemic. But
Right.
the idea of folks using social media as a distraction and maybe some of the dangers there. I just wonder about this world we're living in today and the tearing away of all those old concerns, concepts, or even if you were a manager with concerns that you had to be physically seeing your employee and looking over their shoulder and watching what they do on their computer and make sure they're working, that's out the window these days with this forced hope work from home policy. Either you're finding out the employee was a good one and they're out there doing their job from their home and they're being productive, or it's being revealed, probably something you already knew, that they were not one of the most proactive, productive members of the team. And I've talked a little bit about this with some other business owners that have basically found this pandemic experience has just amplified what they already knew about their workforce. So when I see articles about social media and really what the monitoring, and it ties into the monitoring of our work life now. For those of you out there that don't think your employer can know and tell how often you're on your computer during the day, if it's a company computer or you're logged into your company servers, it's I don't ever get told this, and I don't have there's no specific policy in place that their big brother's watching, but I know that the data is being accumulated, and I know that they do it for research purposes to know how this COVID-19 crisis is impacting people's work. And the surprising thing, Steve, is that I think I've heard a couple anecdotal stories from my friends in the FM community. I was on a roundtable yesterday, and someone said that in their federal agency that the managers are realizing that people are working too much. They're actually monitoring their work from home, and they're saying they're on their computers, on their screens, and continuing to work way beyond the hours that they did in the office. So they have to kind of say, hey, take a break and go walk your dog or play with your kids. So
Hmm.
are you hearing similar stories anecdotally or otherwise?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because if you look at the day in the life of the office, right? You go into the office, you go to your desk, you go to the bathroom, grab a cup of coffee, you chat to people, you move around. You maybe sit at your desk to either do some casual work or some focus work, but then you get up and you move to meeting rooms, you move to other places to interact with other people. Where in the home environment, you're doing all those activities sitting in the same seat. And often we find ourselves, we get ourselves in a seat first thing in the morning, we go through the day, and maybe we get up to go to the bathroom or grab a cup of coffee or have some food, but we're pretty much back to the same seat.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because that's where our Wi-Fi is. That's just where we're set up, and so on and so forth. So I think you're right. There is a lot of that, in play. But I just want to go back to some of the points that you made there, and I had a question for you as you were sort of running through your thought process. So yes, we can sort of assume that employers are um, not tracking, but have the ability to look at some of that data if they wanted to. Do you think they're using it, or they would use the data to harm or hurt or benefit the individual or the company as a whole? How do you think they'd use the data?
Well,
I
that was
guess is
kind of
the
my
question.
point, is that it's the culture thing. And it's if you don't trust your employees and if you don't give them the freedom to direct their own work lives, were they good employees to begin with? And I think
Mm,
again that's a culture question. And I've been blessed and fortunate to work for organizations uh, that I was always a trusted player on the team. It was something in my early career. I was a sales rep. You go out, you leave the office. They didn't know what you were doing. They didn't track you then. I was way before GPS technology and so forth. I'm an old guy, Steve. So, but your productivity or your production, I should say, as a salesperson, especially, would show it. Your numbers would show the results. And I think that same mindset in today's world, and it's not about micromanaging the even the numbers or the results, but you can tell just through natural day-to-day life and business and what's going on, and when you get together and you ask, hey, what have you been working on, and people before you even ask, people say, hey, I need help with this, that, or the other. You just get a sense, that people are either self-starters and moving along, or they need that someone looking over their shoulder. And I think in most of our cases in our knowledge worker world, I think well, I shouldn't say. I don't know. And certainly in my organization, the culture has always been, you make your choices. We trust you. It's not explicitly written down somewhere, but the culture, the feeling is, we trust you to get your job done. We're in this together. We have a mission. We have goals. We're organizational, and we want you to be successful individually. So go do what you need to do. Let us know where we can help. And it's a team approach. So there's no manager telling me or assigning me tasks each day. But I know that in the broader workforce community, that's part of the deal, and there's a percentage of the workforce that requires that. So how about you? Are you feeling the same, or do you think they're actually um I've never had that thought in my head that there's some evil intent
Yeah,
monitoring my
yeah.
activity. In fact, the only stories I've ever heard is anecdotally. It's like, hey, um, we can tell that you haven't logged into the new app or the new Outlook Exchange, tool that we've put in for you to use. It's for your benefit. We're trying to secure things. We can tell that 50% of the people haven't done it yet. Please do it. And that's about it. But when it comes to like monitoring keystrokes or screen time or I can't imagine who's got or scanning through emails or I know they can. All my emails are open. All my Slack messages are all publicly owned by the corporation. Somebody could be reading everything I write, but if someone had time to do that, I think we'd all be in bad shape. I hope they're not spending their time doing that.
Yeah. No, 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 I hear you. And I will give you an answer, but I kind of want to probe or test you a little bit because in
Sure.
essence, it's when we're in the office, we have all these sensors and data points all around the office. People are being observed, how they work, the way they work, how they move through the office, using, video cameras where sensors where see people moving, facial expressions. Is that so different to what you're concerned about today?
Yeah, and again, I'm not concerned. I think those
Oh,
sensors and
fair enough.
those
Yeah.
things are those are great tools to help
Yeah.
understand for the benefit of employees how the space is being used. We work with a lot of sensor companies. We work with a lot of uh, forward thinking and advanced technology companies that are looking to leverage the tools of technology to better manage the workplace. And in the end, it's about enhancing the employee's experience, as well as obviously there's the workplace leaders have to maximize space and understand, make real estate decisions about what spaces, how it's really being used, and what decisions we need to make for future leases. So all that is done with that in mind. But I thought the shift in the culture broadly, say the workplace culture of the last several years, has been we need to attract and retain talent, and we need to find out what what our employees need. And if that was communicated effectively, if that was part of the plan, was to explain, hey, we're deploying sensors, we're deploying this new technology in conference rooms, at hot desking stations, at other areas of the office, it's for this benefit, which is your benefit. We want to know how you're using this space, what more space you need, what kinds of spaces you need. And I always trusted that to be the case. Now again, when it came to some things like blue dot technology, where you could do a lot of cool things as far as anticipating the needs of the workforce by tracking them throughout the campus or throughout a building, there was always some concern there that would be a problem. But I think someday, and certainly it's getting easier to do those types of things, and we're getting more used to it in our personal lives, and that will transfer over to our work lives as well. But it's a lot. I'm talking about a lot of different
No,
things,
yeah.
and I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, 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 you did, and you kind of got there where I was kind of with me asking that additional question, right? Because in essence, what you showed was the benefits of the collecting of the data, the sensors, all that through the office space, because the outcome is to improve or create an experience that actually helps the employees, right? And that's where I think if organizations are going to be using the data that we have concerns over or people are worried about, in how they're working at home, when they're working at home, how often they're working from home. I think it's going to be from that perspective. It's going to be one of concern. It's going to be one of improving the experience for the employees. And I just sort of think about one little thing like what happens if, or what if, Zoom created the ability to monitor people's faces for facial expressions, for anxiety, for happiness, all those different
Mm,
things. What was that of a feedback loop? Would that provide a benefit to an organization? Would that provide a benefit to you and me? Would that assist and would that help individuals or organizations as a whole? And I think most organizations and most people who collect this data, review this data, will look at it as a benefit to the employee. yes, the employee will always be skeptical because in essence, our first, our first reaction is defense, and we want safety, we want security, right? That's the first thing we do. But
Yeah.
actually, when it is to your point on the office space and when it's communicated in a certain way, the same thing about these tools about monitoring as well. Because I agree with you. You have to accept that whenever you're using a corporate company issued device, be it a laptop, be it a phone, then the organization has access to that data. And let's not forget that, we're being compensated for all that, our contributions to that organization. So therefore the organization should have the right to have all that information. That's my opinion. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean I don't get I don't sort of get concerned about sort of, will they overstep or does this hurt me in the long term? Because in essence, you kind of not give up that right, but it's the spirit with everything is taken, is I think is for the benefit. Uh,
Yeah, I guess that's me being that optimistic guy too. I'm sure there's some evil intent out there, and some organizations with bad cultures, are still operating in those ways that the employee is the at the whim of the employer, whereas as it hasn't been my experience. But if it's interesting, those things you just brought up, some of the technology I've read about, I know it's available, some of the face, the health monitoring or mood
mhm.
monitoring technology. And I would be, again, I never say never, because I've always made the mistake of saying, why would you need that thing, whatever it is? And then 5 years later, I'm holding that thing in my hand, or I'm using it on a regular basis, and I couldn't live without it, whatever that technology advancement's been over the years. So I've stopped saying I don't see the value in it. But if you had an email from HR today that said, "Hey, Steve, we've been watching you on Zoom, and it looks like you're a little depressed today. Everything okay?" That would be weird. That would freak me out. Wouldn't that freak you out? I mean, I can't imagine that being part of our existence. But maybe a broader sense that if I got an email to all employees, "Hey, make sure you're going for a walk today. We want to make sure your health and well-being is a top priority. Reminder, we're all in this together. Go out and take a break." That would be a better way to communicate it. But I don't know. I don't know what it looks like in real life. Do you?
So no, 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 I don't. I'm really enjoying this conversation. So you're right. If we got that email from HR, we would be like, what is going on, right? But if we were at the end of a Zoom call, you got a little thing that came up and said, how did you feel through that? How do you feel about everything? And or it was a little alert that says, okay, you've been on 3 calls for the last 3 hours or whatever it is. Take a break,
Oh, I see.
or remind yourself to do things, or you get the ability to, monitor. Because where I was going with this is, okay, that's in the work environment, but actually, if you were on your personal phone and you were doing these things and it popped up, how would you react to it? You would react very differently, right? So, in essence, you're right. It depends on how the communication comes across. If it was Zoom itself giving you an alert, or hey, just by the way, we've noticed this fatigue or energy drop or whatever that is, right? Within the app itself, yeah, because we'd all be petrified if we got those HR emails.
Well, that's the point. And thanks for bringing that up, because it ties back to that social media article, and the fact that our personal devices and personal social media accounts like Instagram and others have these built-in monitoring tools already. And they're
Yeah.
something you can refer to and see how much screen time you've had. And if I've always thought of them as for kids to parental controls to keep kids from overindulging, but it's something. Do you use it on your device? I don't. I've always seen that, but you actually use that to remind yourself if you've been on Instagram too much or something?
No, I'm not on them often enough. What I do have is I get a weekly update. I think the application I use is Rescue Time, and it gives me this is the amount of time you've spent on the computer over this last 7 days, and it sort of breaks down where I spent the time and so on and so forth. And I find that interesting, how it fluctuates week to week, and it's just more of a reminder to me. I don't have it something anything that pops up daily. Go, you need to go for a walk now.
Yeah,
But that's
but
not
it's
to say that
personal. Eh,
I wouldn't have
Yeah,
it.
it's your decision.
Right, right.
It's driven by, and some people probably find value in it. I'm sure there are people watching this that do use it and think it's great and helps keep them in check. They're much more disciplined than I am. You're more disciplined than I, and more deliberate in how you schedule your time. So I can see that, being an issue like many issues when it comes to translating, whether it's technology tools or privacy issues or just work habits from personal life to work life. They're as vast as the number of employees and as vast as the individual personalities and types of people. And that's what's more important than anything else like generations or even role and responsibility. It's the personality of the person. I have to find what's best for me. And if my employer can tune into my work habits and knows what kind of person I am, and I hope this happens to some degree. In fact, I'm sure it does, because I'll give you a good example. This is real world peek behind the curtain. Our marketing team has a spreadsheet that they keep all these different tasks, goals, projects they're working on, and my team leader, my VP, wants us to fill that out and assign who's working on it, when it's being done, and so forth like that. I can't. Something happens when I turn on Excel spreadsheets. My brain just turns off, and I can't work in that world. Okay. And I've always been this way. People know this about me. So, and I don't know if I'm going to, I'm sure I'll hear about it today, but last night we had a deadline of something that we were all supposed to contribute to the worksheet. And I basically wrote an email and said, listen, it's late in the day. I'm too tired. I can't, when I opened Excel and started to type in those little squares, I just couldn't do it. So here's the list of what I'm working on, what my team is working on, and what I've, hoped those goals will be. And I just put it in an email and sent it off. And I haven't heard back yet, but that's just, I think if you're a good manager, and there's two choices. Then you get that email, you say, Mike, you need to go back and get into that Excel spreadsheet and give it to me in the format I asked for it. Or you say, okay, he gave me the information I need. It's not ideal. It would have been easier, but I'll work with him because he's quirky in this way, but he does some other things well that are valuable. So I would hope, and I know this isn't the case for everyone, but I would hope that you're in an environment where your strengths and your weaknesses are understood and recognized, and they do what they can as an employer to leverage your strengths and bring everybody's strengths to the table, because that's what brings a team together, what makes us all productive as an organization.
Yeah, no, and I think you raise really good points in a sense of if you think about leadership styles, management styles in this environment compared to the in-person, in-office environment, I
Yeah.
think there are many changes and many things that need to change. So, we think about the types of managers that there are, types of leaders that they are, and where you maybe get the more bureaucratic over the person, the manager has to look over to see everything. In this environment, they must be really struggling, right?
Oh yeah.
Where managers who are more lead with empathy, more compassion, relationship, I have to imagine that those people, well, I say imagine, who knows the results just now, whether or not they're being more successful at this time than other managers. Who knows? Maybe it's the reverse. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, you know?
Well, there's some data coming in, and I think I mentioned to you that Workplace Evolutionary, as you know, that they had a big survey. They're going to be releasing the results. I think it's next week on that. I got
Mm,
a little bit of a sneak preview this morning. Early on, Europe is IFMA's Europe is doing their World Workplace Europe that was canceled. I was supposed to be in Amsterdam speaking about a month ago, and that was one of the first conferences to go by the wayside with the coronavirus outbreak. So that was canceled, but they redid it as a virtual event. It's going on today and tomorrow. And I just tuned in briefly this morning to see Kate Lister, among many others, presenting about just some of the broad issues of this situation. And I just heard her talk about the fact that those type of managers that were hesitant to bring their, at least giving them the option or have flexible work policies where you could telework a day or two or three a week or more. There are a lot of folks out there who are resistant to it. And now it's forced them to see what it really looks like. And I think, if you're a self-aware manager, and again, I was never a good manager. I'm not saying that I have this down, but if you could, recognize your mistakes and say, look at this, our employees are doing quite well in this work from home environment. And when we do get back to some sense of normal, back to the offices, giving that flexibility is going to be a lot easier for them, I would hope, if they are willing to recognize that they were essentially wrong in saying, I need to see you there to make this work. It's not necessary. I'm sure most employees are proving the fact that they're working just as hard. Now, always as productive, and we can have those conversations that you and I have had about creativity and innovation and brainstorming and the things that happen in person, those serendipitous meetings, those things still need to be addressed. And I think we're going to find ways to help with that. But yeah, this is going to change our world. It's already changed our world, and will continue to do so, as this is the new frontier, as we are in a new frontier and working together to figure it all out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the other things that's sort of going through that I think is really important for managers is their ability to be, agile and adaptability, right? Change to environments because, you look at how we are day to day, right? We are on a roller coaster. We're up and down, and we have emotions that sort of come and go as well. And I think everyone else is behaving the same way. Managers are going to behave the same way. Employees are going to behave the same way. So it's like that ability to be adaptable, to be agile like that. I think is also going to be important attributes for managers to demonstrate at this time. Um, the other thing
Well,
I've
the good
sort of gone
news,
through.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
go
I
ahead.
was
Go
just say
ahead.
the
No,
good
go,
news is
go ahead.
we know people, and people are the same as they've always been, and we can
Yeah.
pretty much anticipate some of these things.
Yeah, no, you're right. And one of the other sort of side effects I was sort of thinking about, with this fatigue, what may be causing some of it, and some of it is right. We're on all the time. We've discussed that, but I don't know about you, but it's just now we're what, May 6th, and if the coronavirus hadn't happened, I would have had a week's vacation. I would have taken a week's vacation in April
Mm,
just to have time off to relax, recover, and detach from everything.
yeah,
And I didn't, and I haven't, right? And I think it's fair to say that there are many people in the organization, many people, you know, in many organizations who haven't taken time off yet. And when is the right time to take time off? Because we're all waiting for things to open because,
yeah.
okay, what's the point in taking time off if you're staying at home?
That's a great
But that's
question.
just the fresh, the relief in the head, I don't know whether, have you given it thought? Have you
I have.
up in your, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to know what you're going to do too, because I was thinking that I can't sustain this rate. I need a break. I need to turn it off. And I would love to have things to do if I'm on vacation. That's exactly my thought. It's like, why take a vacation, use up those vacation days if there's literally nowhere to go and nothing to do? And but the more we go into this and the more it drains me and the more this digital fatigue is setting in, I just need a break from, you know, this. No offense. I love what we
Yeah,
do every
no, no,
day,
I hear,
but
I
we
hear
have to
you.
turn it off and then say, let's take some time away and recharge. But the thing is, it's so hard. And you know this, right? Is it goes to your mind is that in the world of content and digital marketing and content creation, it's like you have to build up the like for me, I'd have to prepare the podcasts in advance, and I'd have them scheduled and automated and ready to go. And I've been in such a position of just day by day, week by week, and haven't been able to get caught up because there's so much else going on. I'd have trouble doing that. Would you be able to get away for say a week and continue to have open source workplace cranking out the content, the videos? Could you pre-schedule, and or are you like me and just kind of going with the flow?
It's a great question, and it's one of the things that I've pondered as well. So, if I did take time off from the day job, how would I spend my time? Would I still want to do this? And part of me is part of my I would look at how do I spend my weekends, right? And that's the indicator of how I would likely spend my time if I got a week off in this environment.
Okay.
And I would still get up in the morning at the same time. I would still keep my routine in the morning where I do actually, absorb a lot of content. One, because we're doing this, but two, there's just so many things going on. There's so much great content going on out there, and everyone is being so open with the conversations that it's really hard. I find it captivating, and I want to keep involved in that. So I think I would still do that.
Yeah.
But then, and I would still want to do this, but then I would know at 9 a.m. that I'm free to go and do what I want. I can go do my runs, go my cycles, do whatever. And then I would feel free to relax and actually do whatever it is I wanted to do. That's funny. We just got the bell that it's 9:30 and it went off in my head and I sort of jumped. So it's kind of funny. I don't know whether you
Yeah.
caught that, but
It
that
went
was
by
good.
fast. Went by
It did,
fast.
it did. But no, maybe we pick this up and we chat about it
Yeah.
again because I think it is a topic that a lot of people are sort of thinking about, contemplating, and Yeah, be nice to hear more
Let's
thoughts
keep
about it.
talking. Let's keep talking about it
Mm,
because it's something that we need to take care of because I think it's going to catch up with us if we don't.
yeah, I agree. I agree. All
Awesome.
right, man. Enjoy your
Have a
live
great
stream
day.
today. Cheers.
Thank you. Appreciate it.